That's what I'm thinking. Because the guy has no talent. He's an asshole. He's a shit paranormal investigator. He has absolutely no talent. Well, that's my opinion. But then again, he said the same thing about me. So who knows? Whatever. I'm not a fan of the guy. I'm not happy about the situation. And and I let Joe know. I mean, you saw what I wrote him. And then after that, I wrote some more.
Yep.
Hello, Miss Bell. How are you?
Hello. Good evening.
How are you?
I'm really good.
Okay, guys. Right where you guys are.
Okay, we're ready. Just give us a countdown.
Okay, in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and you're live.
Hello, everyone. I'm psychic medium Chris George, and I'm joined by my co-hosts, Victor the Voice Furman and Jeremy Moonshine Adams. Welcome to our show, Vision Quest, where we will try and unleash the power of your mind. It is October 3rd, and we are airing live on dtmwickedradio.com, and we want to thank everyone for being here tonight. If you got a pen and paper, write down this phone number. This is the call-in number. It's 818-431-8214. That's 818-431-8214. If you have a question for any of us hosts or our guests, please feel free to call in. We'll put you through, and we'll have a little conversation. Of course, everyone knows this is a very interactive show. We open the phone lines. We interact with the chat room, which is awesome. And you know what? How about everybody just sit back, relax, and let's cross that threshold of reality together. A couple things I want to mention. My fan page is Psychic Medium Chris George. If you like it, you get a chance to get a free reading from me. We have Victor the Voice Furman's fan page, and we have Jeremy Moonshine Adams' fan page. And you know what? They're all awesome pages, so like them. But more importantly, we have two group pages. One on Google+, which is Vision Quest, and on Facebook, which is also Vision Quest. So, ask to join, and we'll accept you. And we really do a lot of cool things on those sites. So check us out. I'd like to say, guys, what did you think about guests last week? But we didn't have a guest last week because we were all friggin' sick, and including Denny, our station manager and owner, all sick. So last week we didn't have a show. I guess they added an archive, and I can't even tell you what archive was aired because guess what? I was under the weather. So
hey, Chris, we had a show. We were there in energetic spirit. We had a show.
Yeah, you keep telling yourself that.
It's true.
So anyway, so guys, it's been a couple of weeks since we aired because we've been sick with the flu for 2 weeks. What's going on in your life, Victor? Let's let our listeners know what's going on with us.
Well, last weekend I had the pleasure of traveling up to DTM Wicked Land, and Lori Sue and I had the pleasure of meeting and having dinner with Denny and the beautiful Tiff, and it was a great experience. And we also met a couple of other folks who were up in the Finger Lakes region of upstate New York, which is absolutely breathtaking. And if you're in the New York area and you've never been up to the Finger Lakes, especially upstate at this time of year, the foliage is starting to change, and it is like a wonderland of golds and reds and oranges and just beautiful, beautiful color.
Yeah, you know what? In 2011, Second Sight, our other radio show, actually hosted, not hosted, but we were prominent figures in the 2011 New York Expo, Paranormal Expo. And, we did a live show. We led an investigation. I did a lecture, plus I did gallery readings. So the Finger Lakes, absolutely beautiful. And how about you, Moonshine? What's going on with you?
Same shit, different day, man. I'm still hurt. There's still nosy ass people in the world trying to, put a thorn in my side. Kick a man while he's down. So that's cool.
Yeah, but you know what? I got to tell you something. You know what? They can kick all they want. You know what? You're a tough guy. Inside and out. And you know what? You'll be fine. I know it. I predicted this a long time ago. I know you're going to go through a bunch of bumps in the road, Jeremy. I know they suck. I know getting kicked in the stomach, is a horrible thing. But you know what? You're going to be fine. And unfortunately, it's going to take longer than you wanted to. But in the end, it's going to pay off. I promise you. And you know how it's going to pay off. We don't even need to discuss that. But things are going to work out for you. So, don't sweat the small stuff. Even when the small stuff seems like it's taking you over. I know you're going to be fine.
You know what? That's a really good book to read, by the way.
Also?
Yes, sir.
Yep, I know it.
Because it's all small stuff.
That's right. So I just want to say, and Victor and I kind of got some, I'm not going to go into it, but Victor and I got some news last night that we did not like. And we are going to announce in the near future some things that we've been discussing, and we won't get into it now, but I'm going to tell you it's going to be big. There will be changes, and you know what? Just like I told Jeremy, you can only kick somebody so many times before they've had enough, and I think that Victor and I are reaching that threshold, and I think we're going to start kicking back very, very shortly. But like I said, we won't get too much into that. We'll talk about that when the time is right. And I think we're going to blow the lid off of some things here in the near future. Wouldn't you say, Victor?
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely.
So, Vic, you want to announce our guest?
Yes, our guest tonight is Francine Vale. Francine is an author, a spiritual leader, and visionary. Her past life memories as a Hopi medicine woman in the 19th century, a Roman girl who followed Jesus, and an Egyptian priestess in the service of Isis continues to inspire and influence her consciousness. Encouraged by the highly evolved spiritual beings who are her teachers, Francine shares all that she has learned. Of prime importance, she says, be kind to yourself and love one another, a lesson that each of us and every one of us should take to heart. And we'll be discussing her book, Song of the Heart, Walking the Path of Light. Good evening, Francine, and welcome.
Good evening. Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
It's very nice to have you here, Francine, and we're looking forward to this. It's going to be a great show as always, and just want you guys to know that we just got a little message that our listening audience has grown. We're nearing the 50,000 mark, which is fantastic for a new show, and just want to say, Victor, Jeremy, very proud of you guys. We put a lot of effort into our shows, and you know what, the numbers are starting to come up, and very, very proud. And it's nice when you have station owners that give a damn about you. And I want to put that out there because Denny and Tiffany are outstanding, and they deserve some applause there as well because they work hard for us, and they appreciate the fact that we work hard for them. So it's a good marriage, and we're happy to be part of the DTM Wicked family. So Jeremy, you want to start the interview off?
Sure. Ms. Bell, why did you write Song of the Heart, Walking the Path of Light?
Why did I write it? Well, I wrote it because I was inspired to write it by a vision that I had in 1989. I usually wake up at dawn, and I did that particular morning. I lived at that time on the east side of New York City, and so dawn broke early for me. It was very beautiful, and I love the colors of dawn. I just love the way the sky looks. And I saw in my mind a golden field of golden light. And in this field, I saw a book. And the book was gold, and it was shining, and on its cover, it said Song of the Heart. And then I knew that I was going to write that book. And I also received a message in that vision, and it told me that I should write this book and that I was not alone. And so that's what I did. I began to write, and once I began to write, I couldn't stop until I was done. It's like I thought every paragraph and every chapter in my mind. I never wrote an outline. It was all in my head. I could hardly wait to get it down. And I wrote for 14 months. I was working at the time, and I would get up early in the morning with dawn and write until it was time for me to get ready for work, and then I'd take my papers with me, and whenever I was inspired, I would just take them out and start writing at work, and then coming home, I would do wherever I had a chance. I would up late at night writing, and at that time, it was 1989. It was before I had a computer, so I wrote by hand. And there were many times when I was writing that I felt the presence of spirit at my right side. And it was very interesting to me. I just took it for granted. And I just accepted that these spirit beings were with me. And different ones came in for different parts of the story. So it was really quite an amazing experience for me, filled with excitement and joy and wonder that I was writing. And it was all inspiration, and it did not get published at the time, even though I was living in the heart of the publishing district. I knew a lot of people, and it went to the top about 3 times, but it just did not get published. And my life changed a lot in 360 degrees, and 21 years later, I took it out in 2012, and I did a fresh edit. And while I was finishing that fresh edit, I felt that a part 2 was waiting. And I knew that's why it never got published, because it wasn't really finished. There was a higher plan to this book, and I didn't know how to begin part 2. And one day, it was March of 2013, it was March of 2012.
Ms. Bell?
Yes.
Ms. Bell,
Yes.
I have to ask you to please speak up.
Oh, am I not speaking loud enough? Can you hear me now?
Right. Yes,
okay.
ma'am. Very good.
I'm
Thank
sorry.
you.
Okay. All right. Well, I hope you didn't miss those pearls of wisdom that I just spoke.
No, we got it all. It was just a little bit low, but we heard it all.
And you know something, Francine, it's so nice because it's really so nice to hear you speak, because Chris and I are New Yorkers. Jeremy is not, you can tell by his accent. But I was born in Brooklyn. Chris is from Brooklyn and Staten Island. I live in Queens now. And it's nice to have someone who sounds a little bit like us.
And here I spent all those years trying to erase the New York accent.
No, you don't want to do that. That gives you your flavor.
That makes us who we are.
Well, it is who we are. You know, I grew up in the Bronx, and my friends and I had this goal, like, you know, we weren't going to sound like the Bronx, and we were going to bring ourselves up to a better life, and we had all these dreams. And so eliminating the Bronx accent was something we worked on together. So I guess there's just so far it could go. So anyway, I'm brushing my teeth one day in March of 2012, and all of a sudden I saw, this was so spectacular, to experience a square of golden light in the very center of my head. And I learned later that's where the pineal gland is, right in the center of my head. And overlaying this square of golden light were 4 triangles that came to a point in the center. And as I'm seeing this with my inner vision, those 4 triangles opened, and out came words, packets of information. And it was unbelievable. So now, of course, I had a computer. I ran to the computer, and I started typing these words that were coming out. And this happened to 10 days. And at the end of the 10 days, I had the structure of all that is, which is chapter 1 of part 2. And that's how part 2 began. So the structure of all that is was really, really an amazing piece of teaching. And it came from the pyramid, the Great Pyramid of Giza. That's what the triangles represent at the top of the pyramid. And so this was hidden information in the pyramid that was now coming out in 2012. And so I call that the heart of Song of the Heart. Because when you read that, anyone who reads it will understand that as human beings, we are not insignificant. Everything we think and everything we say and everything we do is so important and impacts our world. And our world impacts other worlds. And we're all connected. It's all about the oneness of all that is, the unity consciousness, the fact that we are light and sound vibrations, and everything in all creation is light and sound vibrations, just differentiated in different ways. And so we each have the light of our soul and the note, the sound of our soul, and that's who we are, light and sound, and so is everything else. And that's in the structure of all that is. And it's actually a study piece. I mean, I myself, when I got it, had to study it in order to really grasp it and understand it. So it's something that I teach. We sit together, we read it together, and we study it together.
I'm wondering, Francine, what was your biggest fear in writing Song of the Heart, Walking with the Path of Light?
Well, that's such a good question. My biggest fear was that I would be misunderstood because I've always been a rather private person. I kept a lot of things to myself and didn't discuss, even with my mother, with whom I was very close. And here I am writing a story that is total truth. I mean, it has to be truth. If I didn't write in truth, it wouldn't make sense at all. And I knew that there was a big teaching coming through, and the teaching was all about consciousness and moving into the love vibration. And I was frightened that people would misunderstand, or listen, people are very judgmental, and we've all noticed that people judge harshly, and we don't really have the ability to judge because we don't have all the facts. We don't even have all the facts about ourselves. We don't know everything about ourselves. We only know from the day we're born what we're told, and what we experience in third dimension. We have nothing to know about the multidimensional selves of ourselves. So how can we judge another person? You know, it just doesn't make any sense. And yet people do judge. And I was frightened of being judged harshly. And, of course, in part two, I was worried that people would think I was crazy altogether because I have amazing esoteric spiritual experiences. And I know that other people have had some experiences like I have. But in general, people have one sort of experience. That's their vibration is one kind of experience. I've had a very wide range of experiences out of my body and in my body, and seeing things and experiencing things, other beings, and just beings of light, getting messages and all of this. And so what I did when this began, part two, I went to a psychiatrist and had myself checked out. And then I thought, well, maybe he didn't really know. I'll go to another psychiatrist. So altogether I visited 3 different psychiatrists to make sure that I was not losing my mind. And, of course, they all liked me very much. And I got a stable bill of health. And they told me, just enjoy what's happening to you. And then but even so, I kept asking for signs. Everything I was told, I asked for signs, and I received signs. And so I got good at finding them because, you know, sometimes I know a lot of people ask for signs, but then when the signs come, it's easy to miss them if we don't know how to look for them. They don't always take the shape that we expect them to take. So that was the task of writing the book. Yes, dear.
Francine, what is the story behind the title Song of the Heart?
Song of the Heart, what does it mean?
Yes, what's the story behind it? Where did that name come from?
That name was on the Golden Book in the Field. That was the title.
Oh, okay. I missed that before.
Song of the Heart. So
I
never, ever, that's okay, I never, ever considered any other title. That was the title, and everyone I mentioned it to, when I said I'm writing a book, everybody loved that title. And then when I was writing part 2, I decided it needed a secondary title, so I called it Walking the Path of Light. And that's how I got the titles. You know, a lot of things come to me spontaneously. Some things come to me just inspirational in my dreams. I don't usually dwell on something very long. It's just I need some information and I get it.
Well, Ms. Bell, what are some spiritual practices that you engage in regularly?
Spiritual practicing. Well, I have a lot of spiritual practices. I could say, it could be an enigma to you and say my whole day is a spiritual practice, which in some way is true. I do meditate, of course, and I have for years. And I meditate before I leave my bed in the morning. I wake up and I don't jump out of bed. I lay there, I commune with my spirit guides, I meditate, and then I get out of bed, my mind is clear, and my day ahead of me is sitting ahead to unfold in the best way that it can. I meditate before every healing that I do, asking for guidance and the best and highest good for all concerned, and I meditate before I go to sleep. I meditate on the treadmill. I mean, I do it all the time, and my spiritual practices include being kind and loving to everyone that I meet. And that goes on throughout the whole day.
Well, I try to do it all the time, too, but Chrissy always shoos me away, but that's a whole other story. Victor, you want to get to the next question?
Who do you consider your spiritual elders, and how have they influenced your writing?
You know, I never thought about that at all until somebody asked me that question. And I have to say, my spiritual elders are Jesus, with whom I shared a past lifetime, not an entire lifetime, only a few years, but the influence was completely profound on my life as a human being, on the trajectory of my human lifetime, because he taught the Word, and the Word was love. And by calling it the Word, it meant that we speak of love. We don't just feel love, but we speak about love and teach love. And so we use that word love whenever we speak. Use the word love as often as possible throughout your day. Tell people you love them. Talk about love in any way you can, wherever the opening comes. And so that influenced me in my lifetimes on Earth. And I resonated with it. From the very first moment that I heard him speak, which I saw in a past life. I witnessed the Sermon on the Mount. I was a Roman girl, and that changed my life. And so from Jesus I learned, and it's in my horoscope that I write about love. And so I learned to express love. That's part of who I am. I can't even separate it out. I write in my book how when I was 3 years old, I was rocking my dolls in their cradle, and suddenly I felt a presence beside me. And I looked up, and I didn't see anything, but I felt the presence of a guardian spirit, and I knew that was my guardian angel. And she said to me, Francine, why do you love your dolls so much? They're inanimate objects. And when you're 3 years old, you may not have the vocabulary, but your soul is fully formed, and it was all telepathic. So I was able to understand this. And she said to me, your parents need your love, and no one can give them the kind of love that you can. And so from that moment on, at a very early age, I understood that people were more important than things. And so that was an early reminder that I was to live my life with love. And
when your guide came to you, did you know who it was? Did he or she have a name?
What was the beginning of your question?
I want to know. You said that your spirit guide or your guardian angel came to you. Did you know who it was, or did they let you know who it was?
Oh, yes. In 1991, when I finished writing Song of the Heart, my spirit guide revealed himself to me. And that was a life-changing experience. And I was going to be 50 that year on my next birthday. So when I turned 49 on December 1st, I knew that something spectacular was going to happen to me that year, but I did not know what it was. And so I carried a pencil and paper around with me so I could write it down when it happened. And it happened on July 4th weekend. I was in Cape May, and I woke up just before dawn that morning, and I see this being of light off in the distance coming toward me. And as he came closer and closer, I saw that it was the form of a human being in a light body form, and I saw that I recognized him. And I rose up in my etheric body to meet him, and he embraced me, and I knew who he was, and he was the soul of a baby that I had and who died. The baby was born on my birthday and died the same day when I was 22, my 22nd birthday, and this was the soul of that baby. And it was, at that time, it was 26 years, and he looked like he was a young man in his 20s. And he embraced me, and in that embrace, I felt that was in another dimension it was taking place. And I felt that I had never been loved like that ever on earth. You can't be. It's love outside of third dimension. It's so complete. It's the definition of unconditional that we talk about.
Francine, in the chat room, they're wanting to know if they gave you a name for your guide.
I'm not hearing your question well. I'm sorry.
If your guide had a name. Did your guide have a name?
Did I what?
Did your spirit guide that came to you, or this guardian angel that came to you, did it have a name?
Yes. Oh yes. Oh, I'm so sorry. Yes, absolutely. I asked him, "How shall I call you?" And he said, "I am your son, your guide. To all others, I am Adam. To you, dearest
That's interesting. Very cool. So I'm wondering, what are some struggles that you have faced when people find out that your perception of the world is derived from past life experiences?
I'm having a hard time hearing you. I know you asked me.
You want to read that one? Maybe I have a bad connection.
Okay. What are some struggles that you have faced when people find out that your perception of the world is derived from your past lives' experiences?
Well, I've learned to be very careful about discussing it. Now it's a lot easier because not only has the Enlightenment been with us now for quite some time, and people are moving into awareness of spiritual truth, but I have surrounded myself with people who are more or less of the same belief system that I am. And I go to events where these are the kinds of people that I meet. And so it's a lot easier for me right now to be open about it. And, of course, the book, absolutely, I had to just accept it, that this was something I was going to have to just be very courageous about. But in the beginning, I was very reticent about discussing even the fact that I was told we were helpers. My spirit guide did not say we are healers. He said we are helpers, and whomsoever you shall choose, that is who we shall help. But here, in order to have, here in our society, you have to have a description of who you are, so I called myself a healer. But it was very hard for me to call myself a healer in the beginning for the first few years because I'm thinking, who am I to call myself a healer? I couldn't get it through my head that this was really happening. It had to happen over and over and over again, hundreds of times before I finally began to feel confident to say that I'm a healer. And as time went by, of course, and people got to know me in that way, it just became easier and easier. You know, there are still places where you have to be careful about saying things like that, you know, but it is getting easier. And that's a wonderful, beautiful thing that it's getting easier.
Absolutely. Okay, Victor, why don't you take the next one?
Francine, will you please share with our listeners more about where they can get your book, Song of the Heart, Walking the Path of Light, and about any other activities that you'd like to let them know about, please?
Oh, thank you. Sure. FrancineVale.com is my website, and you can order the book from Amazon. And if you live in New York, you can buy it at Quest Bookstore or Joyce's Bookstore. They're both on the east side. And the work that I do, most of my healings are distant healing. I would say 95% of my work is distant because I reach many more people that way. And I have discovered that the distant healings are just as effective as in-person healings. It's miraculous, really. I mean, I've worked with people all across the country, and I have worked with people in other countries as well. And the healings work even through the email. When we communicate through email, people read it, and it works. They read what I'm writing to them, and it has its effect. So there's an energy that comes through each one of us. Whether we're speaking, whether we're thinking, or whether we're writing, we're expressing an energy. And once we learn to discipline our minds and discipline our minds to the point where the only energy that we are radiating is love, then it doesn't matter how we express it. It comes through in our body language, in our face, in our eyes, in our voice, that we're radiating love. And so whatever we do, other people will pick up on it, and you become a healer. You don't even have to call yourself a healer. Once you're disciplining your mind and radiating love, you're healing people. The same way a mother picks up her baby when the baby's crying, and the baby stops crying. So my work is very multifaceted wherever I am. Doesn't matter where I am. It just works. Things are happening. I have
you talk about you're talking about remote healing and sending healing. Do you have maybe a story of a time where you sent remote healing and you got verification that you know something miraculous happened?
Proof of the healing? Is that what you're asking about? Absolutely.
He's asking that. Have you ever done a remote? Can you share with us an example of a remote healing where you've gotten verification from the person of the healing that took place?
Oh, always, every single time. Yes, because I see inside the body. Yes. So definitely, because I share with the person I'm working with everything that I see, because I feel that I have to be completely open with people and let them know what I'm seeing. I describe what I'm seeing with a great deal of kindness and love. And I need the person to be engaged with me so that when I tell them that I see dark gray dust in this particular area, I'll ask them if that's where they feel the pain. And yes, that's where they feel the pain. So then I know that what I saw was accurate. When I come back the next time and I see that that gray dust is not as dark, I can tell by the texture of it and by the color of it and how it looks, the density of it. I know that the healing is taking place, and then when I ask them how they're feeling and they say the pain went away, then I know. So, yes, there's always verification. I would never assume anything at all without having verification. And I always insist that my clients see the doctor when it's a serious case and get all the medical tests that are necessary and stay with their doctor's care. Never, ever would I take on a case and not want the person to see their doctor. And so we work together. And I believe that there's something called the meeting of science and spirit, where science and spirit are not that different. especially now that we know about quantum physics. And it's just a matter of language. It's just a matter of language. And so, yes, verification is very, very important. So if I'm shrinking a tumor...
I'd like to give the call-in number. I'm sorry for interrupting you. I'm getting messages on Facebook of people saying they'd like to ask you questions, so I want to give the call-in number. It's 818-431-8214. If you have a question for our guest, please feel free to call in. It's 818-431-8214. And actually, we have two callers now. Vippy, you want to announce our caller?
Okay, who's the first caller? Caller, what's your name, please?
Hi, my name
Caller,
is Kelly from Dallas. Yes,
hi, Kelly. How are you? Absolutely.
I'm doing well.
How are you, Kelly?
Are you? Doing great.
Wonderful, thank you. What's your question for our guest, Kelly?
For Francine. You know, I've been listening from the beginning, and I'm just so inspired and feel so connected to this. And I can't wait to read the book, but my question was, as a writer, you know, many years ago I wrote about 200 songs, and, you know, I really felt inspired at the time. I went through a dark period, and I had a dream during this, before the dark period. You know, it was really, really inspiring, and I'll never forget it. But my question is, recently I've come out of that, I call it a darkness that I was in, and I've seen my guardian angel a few times, and I don't know what they're trying to tell me, but I was just wondering, Francine, how did you reconnect to, I guess, the beginning of when you were really creative and you really had that feeling and that inspiration?
How did I reconnect to that? I never...
And how do you listen?
Say again?
Yeah, I'm sorry, and I just wondered how did you find that? Yes,
I don't think I was ever disconnected from it. I don't think I was ever disconnected because what happens when you're a child, like when you were a child, were you interested in writing songs? Did you feel that?
Yes, I did, and I worked with a producer for, you know, a few years, and I went through a period where I just lost that, you know, and I went through a dark time, and, you know, kind of like what Jeremy was talking about earlier. And but recently, there's been a lot of light and a lot of maybe signs from my guardian angel. But I just wondered, how do you reconnect or connect to that? And
all right, when you're doing, when you are fulfilling your mission in life, when you are doing the great work of your life, your guardian angel will come closer to you. And you will feel
yes,
it. So what I would say to you is, if the dark time that you went through was something you had to go through, when you're very little, what you do is usually a marker of what you were doing in your past life, and so you continued, but you needed to have a certain kind of experience, and you probably learned a lot from that dark time. Did you?
Yes. Yes.
Can I
yes, I did.
And now, dear.
I agree with that. I agree with that. Sometimes I think people need to go through some hard times or dark times to appreciate the light, you know, for lack of a better way of putting it. And I find that a lot with a lot of people that I work with. You know, they say, "Why am I going through this?" And I try to explain to them, you know, sometimes you need to go through something, you know, to realize what you had. You know, sometimes people take things for granted, and then things go bad for them. And then they realize, you know what, maybe things weren't so bad. And they have to go through those times of hardship and dark times and stuff like that. You know what, we've all done it. Jeremy's going through it right now. He's going through some hard times. But you know what?
Yes, I heard.
This is something that's going to in the future make him better.
So I'm getting a message from your guardian angel. And what the message is that when you start writing again, when you start writing your songs again, you're going to come in with it on a higher level than when you left off. And use the dark time to build on. Use that. Use the contrast of the dark time taught you. Use what you learned. Mind that for all it's worth. And go on with writing your songs. And once you begin, it's like you may not even know what you're going to write, what you're going to say, what you're going to hear in your mind. But once you put the pencil to the paper, it'll start to happen, and your guardian angel will come through and be guiding you. I think she's just trying to tell you that she'll be right with you and guiding you. But just start. And a very good book to read after you read mine is Stephen Cope's book called The Great Work of Your Life. And it's all about creative people and what they went through, and the famous creative people that we all know, what they went through, the dark times, and how they went about creating the great work of their life. Very, very beautiful. Wonderful. Not a very big book, and he's a wonderful teacher, Stephen Cope from Cooperstown up in Massachusetts. That will help you too.
Francine, I just want to share with you, Kelly's a friend of ours, and we shared with her through a dark time a couple of years back. I wanted to tell you what a light she is, what a beautiful, beautiful light and gift to this world. Kelly, you're a gift to this world. Don't ever forget it.
Thank you. Thank you, Victor, so much. And, I will read both of those books. I will read both of those books. And, I left my songs literally in a box for 10 years. But, Francine, what you just told me, it just really resonates. And I will definitely take them back out, and I'll take that dark time and use it. So thank you so much.
Yes, do that, darling.
You know what?
Know that while I'm
Kelly?
telling you those.
Yes.
Kelly, you're still on. While I'm saying this to you, I'm receiving the vibrations in my body that tell me that this is exactly right.
That this is exactly what I'm supposed to do.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Authentic. Yes.
Thank you so much. I know it. I knew it in my soul, but sometimes you lose trust in the voices you're hearing. And I think it's time.
When you go to my website, would you write to me, or you can contact me? There's an email address on the website. Let me know how you're doing. Okay.
I absolutely will. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kelly.
Kelly?
Yes.
You can have my copy of her book. Yes, this is Jeremy. You can have my copy of her book.
I want my sales to go up.
Well, thank you so much. That is a great gift. Because this is really going to set me on the path that I was meant to be on, and I know I was meant to be on. You guys mean so much to me. Thank you. And Jeremy,
it's only one copy.
Thank you.
Well, do we have another caller? Jeremy, you want to announce our next caller?
Caller, are you with us? Hello? Caller.
Okay, well, maybe we don't have a caller. Why don't we take the next question? Go ahead, Jeremy, take it.
Oh, me. You caught me with my pants down. Hold on.
What else is new?
I kind of stop me if we cover.
Judeo-Christian, not that one.
Do what?
Do you see an increased acceptance?
Do you see an increased acceptance of spiritual practices and experiences that outside the Judeo-Christian spectrum?
Yes, of course. I go to events. I love living in New York City because there are all kinds of spiritual events. And I go, and there are people from all walks of life, from around the world, coming and teaching their spiritual path. And a lot of people from Judeo-Christian background are practicing different ways of being spiritual. Yes, I feel a lot of that, and it's almost an amalgamation. Each religion has its higher teachings, and if we can extract the higher teachings and let go of prejudice and separation, then we'll be just doing fine. So, we're entering into a new world, a real new world, a new cycle. We're coming to the end of this 26,000-year cycle, and that's why we have all this chaos. And we can create the world that we want. This is very important for people to understand why it's so important now to wake up, and this is the great awakening that's happening, to wake up to your true, authentic self. What kind of world do you want to create if you had the power, if you knew you had the power? Because indeed we do have the power, and collectively we can create a world of love and not go on with this world of war. We have to end all weapons of war buried in the ashes of the past. That's what we're up to now. And love must win out. We're not talking about romantic love necessarily. We're talking about that kind of love that transcends everything. So you can even, it goes beyond forgiveness, because after you forgive, the next step is learning to love that person. You don't have to bring them that close to you, but you can learn to love them as part of God's creation. And indeed, we all have divinity inside us. Our soul is our divinity, and divinity is all around us in everything that lives. The whole entire earth is living and breathing. Gaia is a living, breathing being. And so the oneness of all, how could you not love yourself and love everything on this planet? It's a planet of great beauty and diversity. And so that's the time now we're learning to love ourselves and learning to love one another, which time is way past due.
Francine, can you speak to the emotional and psychological issues that keep people from expressing their soul's full potential?
I would say the ego very often blocks us from expressing our true, authentic self, because we don't even know who our true, authentic self is. But once we start to find out, we blossom, and nothing can stop us. And that's the truest teaching. And my spirit guide taught me that. And the truth is that once you're doing your soul's mission, like I said to Kelly, and as I have experienced, I am so good at what I do. I may not be good at math, and I may not be good at memorizing long lists of things, but I'm so good at what I do. And so it flows, and it flows with love, and I don't feel like I'm working when I'm doing it. And I understand the place of the ego in our life on earth, but not to let the ego take over. And so you become very humble. And humility, gaining humility in everything, is very, very important. Psychological issues are usually the issues that we pick up as we're growing. The things that happen to us when we go out in the world, our small world, and then the larger world of what peers do and teachers and other people, all the experiences, create psychological blockages. You live in New York City, and you walk around, you go down the street, there are so many broken-hearted people walking in the street. There are so many wounded people. You just see it. And this is all psychological trauma that people have suffered. And so this is a time of great healing. Enormous healing is taking place. Now all we have to do is open to it. We can receive it. Did I answer your question?
Chris?
No.
Yes, thank you for that answer. Thank you.
I'm curious, Francine, what is the single most important piece of advice you would give an aspiring spiritual seeker?
The most important piece of advice that I've given who?
that you would give to an aspiring spiritual seeker?
That I would say to inspire a spiritual seeker?
Yes, ma'am.
I would say seek with an open heart. We are seekers. It's through seeking that we grow. It's through seeking that we find the answers to our questions. And we do travel the world sometimes when we're seekers, but here's a big secret. It's not necessary to travel the world, although we can if we want to, because all the answers are inside ourselves. That spark of light that resides within our heart chakra, that is our soul, that spark of light is connected to all that is. And when we recognize that spark of light, and when we place our conscious intention upon it, and with every breath allow it to expand until it fills our entire physical body, and then we keep breathing with that intention, and we see the light of our soul expanding. We see this beautiful golden light that is our soul light expand beyond our body. And then we're shining and radiating this golden heart light, the light of our soul, our heart light. Through that radiation of our heart light and love, we reach up as far and as high as we can go. We can send it around the world. We can send the vibration of golden light around the world to create healing and link up with others who are doing it. And in this way, when we come back, when we draw the light back to ourselves, we are somewhat wiser. We know things we didn't know before, because the light is information. And when the information blends with our soul, we have wisdom. And when we start to enact that wisdom, we grow exponentially. So it's all about the oneness. So the seeking is within. Sometimes when we travel, we are inspired by the sights that we see and the trips that we make and places that we go. I would love to go to Egypt and visit the pyramids. I would love to do that. I'm sure I would have great inspiration if I did that. But in a way, the Pyramid of Giza opened up inside my head and gave me the structure of all that is, which was the epitome of wisdom. And so that's why I say it's all inside us. And we can read books and meet people that will inspire us too. Sometimes your next door neighbor inspires you. Sometimes the least thing that you might think of as an inspiration could be an inspiration. But we must get out in the world and interact with people. And I tell you, there's one word I'm dropping from my vocabulary, and that word is stranger. When I go out, I don't see anybody as a stranger. I just see everybody as my brother and sister. And when I remember to do it, I just send love.
Ms. Bell?
Yes.
What is your definition of happiness?
Happiness. I don't think that happiness is something that is long-lasting or that we can achieve through the material world as we see it. It's more fulfillment. I think when we are fulfilling our true authentic selves, when we are living in kindness and love, when we're helping other people, we feel a great sense of fulfillment. That gives us joy. It even surpasses happiness. The joy of helping someone, the joy of seeing that person go on and know something they didn't know, be able to do something, or if we help them get a job or whatever we're helping people do, learn something on the computer that unlocks a mystery for them. And when someone helps us, that also gives us joy. So we were designed to help one another. That's how humanity was designed. And I think that if we all lived that way every day, helping one another every day, we would be fulfilled. We would be filled with joy and happiness every day. Happiness cannot be gotten, lasting happiness cannot be gotten from the material world because it doesn't satisfy long.
We have a question from the chat room from Lisa, and she wants to know if you have ever worked with other psychics or done paranormal investigations.
I didn't hear your question clearly enough.
I'm sorry. A question from Lisa. She wants to know if you've ever worked with any other psychics or done any paranormal investigations.
Have I worked with other psychics?
Yes.
I have many friends who are psychics, and I somehow meet up with psychics all the time, and there are people who are psychic who don't call themselves psychics, and those are my friends because they see me. They see my true self. And so when they see my true self, they like me. And then I appreciate that, and I see them, and I see their true self. And so psychics, some of my best friends are psychics, but they don't exactly call themselves. Some of them do, some of them don't. But when we see inside each other and we see the love inside one another, that creates a bond. As far as paranormal, I don't understand. What does that part of the question mean?
I wouldn't pursue it. It's about paranormal investigation, but I think your work is more about spiritual, about the nature of who we truly are and what our accomplishments can be if we open up to the love and the oneness that we all share. And on that note, we're going to thank our wonderful guest, Francine Vale, for joining us tonight, the author of the book, Song of the Heart, Walking the Path of Light. And Francine, once more, please tell our listeners how they can get in touch with you and learn more about your work.
Oh, thank you. Yes, please go to Francine Vale, VALEC as in victory, ALE.com, FrancineVale.com, and you can reach me. I have my email address in there under contacts, and buy the book and get to know more about me on the website. Not being technological, when I got involved with creating the website, I discovered creativity is just as strong on the computer as it is anywhere else. So I thank you so much for the opportunity of giving me this chance to talk about love and what I care about. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Vale.
Thank you.
And have a good night. And that brings to an end our hour of the Vision Quest with psychic medium Chris George, Jeremy the Moonshine Adams. I am Victor the Voice Furman, and Chris has a final note before we close the hour.
Yeah, I just want everyone to know that second hour I'm going to make a little announcement, and I'm actually going to have two people call in. Donna Schmid and River is going to call in, and we're going to discuss a little venture that we have going, and I think you guys are going to be really interested in it. So please stay on. We'll be back in about 3 or 4 minutes. And again, thanks for listening to the first hour.
And you're listening to Vision Quest on the DTM Wicked Radio Network, and we will be back.
Okay, well, that hour is still, it was good, and I guess we'll go for the next hour now.
Okay, yeah, guys. Ooh, good one.
Oh, thank you. You know the shame.
Rolling Hills Asylum. Located in East Bethany, New York, just minutes between two major airports, Rolling Hills Asylum is a hotbed of paranormal activity. They have been featured on Travel Channel's Ghost Adventures, Paranormal Challenge, as well as Sci-Fi Channel's Ghost Hunters. Rolling Hills Asylum has been named the #2 most haunted location in the United States by HauntedNorthAmerica.com. The property was established on January 1st, 1827, as the county poor farm. Throughout the years, it has operated as a poor farm, infirmary, orphanage, tuberculosis hospital, nursing home, and more. Past residents and inmates consist of widows, orphans, physically disabled, mentally unstable, murderers, and more. Over 1,700 bodies are buried in unmarked graves, and hundreds more deaths went undocumented. Rolling Hills Asylum is known for a plethora of phenomena, including disembodied voices, doors slamming, footsteps, sounds of furniture moving, full-body apparitions, shadow people, ghostly touches, and numerous Class A EVP. Rolling Hills Asylum proudly offers historical and flashlight tours, 4- and 8-hour public ghost hunts, 8- and 9-hour private ghost hunts, and more, by appointment or pre-booking only. For more information, please visit www.rollinghillsasylum.com. That's www.rollinghillsasylum.com. Or give them a call, 585-502-4066. That's 585-502-4066. Rolling Hills Asylum. What are you doing this weekend?
Hello? Hello? Who's that? Whoa! Water! There's a ghost on the stairs. It's just sitting there. It sure scared the hell out of me. And now I do believe that ghosts are a certainty. Home from a dude. I've had a single too. The spirits that I see, that stand in front of me, have given me a thought to hang on. I gotta know. Hang on. I gotta know. How will I sleep tonight? There. You back?
All right.
All right,
Welcome
guys.
back.
Welcome back to Vision Quest, hour number 2. I promise you we will be a bit more lively this second hour, and hopefully we'll entertain you a little bit. Why don't we bring, we have a couple of people on. Why don't you patch them through, Denny? We have River and Donna with us. Are you guys with us?
I'm here. This is River. Hello, hello.
Oh, okay.
Hey, Donna. Hey, River. How you doing?
Well,
I'm
okay.
great, thank
Victor,
you.
let me ask you a question. Victor, let me ask you a question. Do you think it's appropriate for us to talk about what happened last night or no?
No, not at all. No, that's something that we're going to keep to ourselves. It has nothing to do with this wonderful network, and we're not going to discuss it.
Okay. Let me ask you another question. Can I? Let me see.
You can promo the new program that you're developing. Absolutely, that you can do.
But I shouldn't like throw anybody under the
No.
under the
No.
Not even the new co-host, the new host that's coming on.
No. Let's let it go. Let's let it go. Chris, you know what? We want to take a positive spin on everything from now on. No negativity, okay? Remember what Francine said. We have to be kind and loving and compassionate, even to people who screw us around, okay?
You got it. Okay, so we'll talk about that privately. But anyway, I just wanted to know, a couple of weeks ago, Denny, who's the owner of the network, said to me, what do you think about doing, like, internet television type thing? So, at first I was like, do I really want any more on my plate? I do so much as it is between, 2 radio shows and readings and teaching and just everything, There's just not a lot of time. But I started thinking, maybe this is something new. So what I wanted to do was actually do an internet television show. And my thought behind it was I wanted to have a couple of female co-hosts. 2 hosts, and me. 2 co-hosts and myself.
Listen. Look, Chris, let's be honest about this. The show is going to be called Menage a Trois with Chris George. That's what he's wanted. He's always wanted that, and now he's got it.
But you see, the thing what you're failing to realize, Victor, is I have 7 women. That's a menage a setter. A menage a setter? Oh, okay. Well, if that's what it is, I'm all for it. It's like the Dance to the 7 Veils. That's great. But what I wanted to say is we decided to do the show, and I have 7 amazing women that are going to be co-hosting with me. And I have a feeling within the first, 4 or 5 shows, it'll be down to probably 4 women. And 2 of the women that I know will be with me are on right now, and that's Donna and River. Donna and River, you guys with us?
I'm here. We're here. I'm here, yes.
Okay, beautiful. Well, the premise of the show is it's a paranormal lounge, and Donna, why don't you give the slogan to the show, uncut and all that.
Just uncut, uncensored, right? Yeah.
It's uncensored, uncut, and I forget what it was, but whatever the hell he came up with.
Unrestricted. Donna came up with some fabulous stuff. Unrestricted, uncensored, and uncut. Thanks, River. You bet, baby. You bet. Anytime.
Yeah, you can come through.
I said I can't participate. I'm cut.
Oh, you're cut. Oh my. Let me say something. These ladies that are going to be working with me, they're professionals and they're really good. And now, Victor, the reason why I wanted them to come on is because between you and Jeremy, you can give them a little heads up on how I kind of work, and I'm curious to see what kind of advice you would give these lovely ladies.
Yeah, so that we don't get cut.
Jeremy, I'll let you go first.
Oh, wonderful. Well, be able to put up with sarcasm. First thing, there's going to be sarcasm. Just accept it. Come right back with it. Pay attention to the chat that you're in with the other hosts. But you're going to be on screen, so good luck.
And what about you, Victor?
Good luck.
I would say, the best thing to do is the way to be a real partner in doing any type of broadcasting is to let your co-hosts give you the cues to pick up on and then run with something that complements what they're saying. How's that, Chris? Is that good?
Yeah, no, that's really good, and I think that's why you and I work so well together.
Wait 1 second, and make sure that those compliments are going towards Chris George, and you'll be okay.
No. What I was going to say is, the reason why we work so well together is because we feed off each other. And I'll say something and you just go with it, or you'll say something and I'll just go with it. And a lot of times there's a lot of sarcasm involved, but you know what? We're always true to our word. And what I told these ladies is what I want them to be is real. I don't want them to say things that they think the people want to hear. But the truth is, I don't give a shit what anybody wants to hear. I'm going to say what I want to say. And if you agree with me, that's awesome. But if you don't, that's fine too. That's it's an opinion. Everybody has opinions. And as long as we could, put our opinions out there in a respectful way and in an educated way, it's fine. And if we can have fun while we're doing it, that's even better. And that's why we came up with the whole lounge thing, because I want it to be like Cheers, where everybody knows your name. You come in and everybody's like, hey, Norm, and stuff like that. I want it to be comfortable and where people can say whatever the hell they want. They don't have to worry about being judged or being ridiculed or whatever. And the other thing is I want to get some guests on that have balls, that aren't afraid to give an opinion as well as listen, to what we have to say. And I know Donna, I've never worked with River before. I actually have just recently become friends with River, but there was something about it that I really liked. And as far as Donna goes, I know she can handle herself with anything. She's pretty friggin' amazing, and she's actually interviewed me before. She's really good. So, ladies, I don't know, is there anything you want to say? How about River? How about you first about the show?
Well, first of all, I think it's a great concept, okay? And even though you and I haven't worked in radio together, I've been in radio for about 5 years now, and I am a co-host. And my senior co-host, and I give her the senior, right, because we're family, and she's my elder. So, I let her take it, and I help with a lot of the technicals and a lot of the pages and anything to do with everything else. But when it comes to the show, I've always been myself. And I think you need a supportive co-host to get your messages across no matter what you're going to do. So I've looked at your body of work, so I don't, I'm not worried about how I'm going to come across or how we're going to mix or the audience is going to perceive us or what have you. I've done my homework. I'm prepared to step in, and I'm doing this for myself to have a good time because it is relaxed. I'm used to the structure of, this is a lounge. It's going to be completely different than what I've been doing for 5 or so years. So for me, it's an adventure, and I'm looking forward to it. I think we're going to be fine. I think we're all going to have a great time. I do.
I think so too. And one thing that I ask people to send in videos, and your video just you just seem so natural, and I figured that it was going to be. I figured you were just going to fit really well with me. And Donna, how about you?
Chris, I just have a question. Does Chrissy know that you're asking these women to send you videos? Do you know that, Chrissy?
Well, Chrissy had to send the videos too. Chrissy's actually here with us, and
first of all, let me just say for the record.
Go ahead.
Chris came to my wall to find that video. That video wasn't for Chris. That was for my fan base. I don't want to call it fan base, but friends and family. And I was actually looking for input on whether they thought it would be a good fit for me. I don't want to let down listeners that we already have. Moons has been around for a long time. And so, yeah.
That's awesome. That's the reason why I was attracted to you as a co-host, because when I saw what your fans wrote, and they really were behind you, and they obviously loved you, and I just thought it was going to be a great fit. Now Donna is a little bit different because I have spoken with her before, and I've been on her show, and she just has an amazing. I just think we have a great rapport with each other. So, and I think you were probably the easiest choice for me because we have worked together before. So, anything you want to say about the show?
Well, Chris, I agree because it's kind of like we're family. When I first met you, I even said to you it was like going home to family because I was born and raised on the East Coast, and from a strong Italian family, I have lost that East Coast accent being on the West Coast now. But hearing you and hearing the way you're talking, it just reminded me of being back in family. So it was like coming home again. So I feel real comfortable with you. As far as the show goes, I'm looking forward to it because it will, I think, with these different personalities, it'll bring a lot of diverse opinions and perspectives, and I think that'll really appeal to the listening audience over a great range of people, because we're each coming from and talking about the paranormal from different perspectives. So I think we'll reach a lot of people. And my thing is to just not make it so damn taboo or make it, woo-woo kind of thing, because there's a lot of scientific stuff in it. Yeah, a lot of scientific background in there, and that's what I try to do on my own radio show, is bring that in so that people can go, oh, I understand that. Is that what that is? Okay, tomato, it doesn't matter. It's all the same. So give people some ideas and information that they can really, sink their teeth into and have a good time at the same time by listening to other people, because I love to learn and grow, and you give me different perspectives on things that I have been trained in. So it's always great. It's always a great educational show to talk with you. So I'm looking forward to that.
See, and that's a great perspective, right? Donna's got the right mindset right there.
Absolutely. And the thing is, see, Victor doesn't realize this yet, but he's going to be he's basically going to be on the show a whole lot. I don't know if you realize that, Victor.
You're asking me to do another show? Oh my God. Chris, I'm working 18-hour days as it is, doing this show, our other show. I'm doing a sit-in for a sorceress on Monday nights for a couple hours, and everything else that I do, taking care of two old mothers, and just, hey guys, okay, I'm in.
Well, listen, now, River and Donna, I don't know if you know these guys, but there really is somebody that I would love to be our first interview. Okay, and they are known as the Demon Doctors. Now, I have a long history with them. They're frauds, basically. They say that they do exorcisms over the phone, okay, which is bullshit.
Wow.
And I've had them on the show, and we went at it for 2 hours nonstop. I mean, big time, hardcore, back and forth. We were respectful, but we were really, Chris,
wait a minute. They did exorcise 3 demons. One was called AT&T, one was called T-Mobile, and the other was called Verizon. So give them credit for that, please.
Okay, that's all they did. But and the thing was, they were supposed to come on the show with me and Victor, and he said, absolutely not. I'll never do a show with you again. Well, it is my goal to get these 2 more on the show and absolutely destroy them. So, are you guys
you
in?
think they're going to come on, right? let's tell them what you want to do before you do it there, George.
No, this is what I think. I think, Donnie, you're going to call them, and you're going to say you have this new show called The Paranormal Lounge, and lo and behold, when they get on, I'm going to be there. Now, they're not going to hang up the phone. They're not going to not come on once they're on. I mean, they have a fan base too. They don't want to look like fools. They want to represent. And I figure if we can get them on screen and we can actually see their face when they're telling their bullshit lies, I think it would be phenomenal. I mean, what do you guys think? Victor, what do you think?
Okay, so let me get this straight. You want me to call and set them up, basically. And then I'm kind of like the fog owl. I'm the fog owl, and so at the end they're going to stalk and haunt me and send all of their demons that they collect in their little pockets my way.
Yes, but Donna, what you need to understand, Donna, what you need to understand is I am one of the great exorcists of the world. You have
so I'm covered.
So if they're sending demons to you, we can take care of that.
Donna, I can reassure you. Donna, I can reassure you that the only demons that they have are the ones in their imagination.
That's right.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
All right.
So, Riva, I have a question.
Where's my sound effect?
Yes.
Do I have a board here? Do I have a
I have a question for Riva and Donna. And Riva, I'm going to ask you first. So,
what's that?
Who's somebody that
can't wait?
Who's somebody that you are really looking forward to interviewing on our show?
Somebody that I'd like to interview on your show. Wow. You know what? I've got a lineup. On our show. Right. All right. A lineup of people that I've kind of been looking at. I'm really interested in authors. I like I like the book reads because you can take it beyond the show, and the listeners can too. But I'm okay with anybody. You know, I've done a lot right now recently, so we'll probably talk about that later. I don't want to commit to anybody before I say it, but you know, I'd like to do some paranormal groups that I know of, and I know several that I think are doing good work. And I'm in the science realm a little bit, so I'm not, you know, my personal opinions and my perspective of the paranormal hits a lot of facets because, you know, if you listen to me or you tuned in before, you know I'm about that kaleidoscope view. So I like the scientific.
Right.
I'd like to get some scientists on the show. I'd like to do the metaphysical versus the scientist, you know, a little bit, just a little.
Okay, beautiful.
But I don't want to name
And
names
River,
yet until
River
I ask. I want to ask.
And River, in my experience, those two crossroads all the time, and that really ultimately will understand they're the same.
Yeah, but it makes for a great
Donna,
show. You know, it makes for a great show, I think.
I agree. And Donna, who's somebody that you're looking forward to interviewing?
When you asked that question, the first person that just immediately popped into my mind is a gal. She's authored a book. She was incredible to interview, and what an amazing story she had to tell. But her name is Jennifer Brandon Hawkins, and she wrote the book The Gift Giver, and it's the story of how her husband had passed away tragically when he was very young, and came back to actually talk to her, and she wrote the book. It's an amazing story. It'll send goosebumps up your spine, and I'm telling you, anybody that buys the book, I cried, bawled. The tears that came out of my eyeballs from beginning to end. The entire book was very well written and very moving, and if you don't even have a clue as to even thinking about if there's a possibility of an afterlife after you read this book, boy, it sure will get you thinking about it for sure. Yeah, and that was the first person that came to mind when you asked the question.
Well, for me, I would have to say there are two people that I want. One I know we'll get easily, which is Source Category Astro. One of my favorite interviews I've ever done. I've interviewed her. Victor, we've interviewed her together maybe 3 times, and I've
absolutely
at least 2 times before you. So at least 5 times I've interviewed her. She's a blood necromancer. She's absolutely an amazing woman. She's definitely not everyone's cup of tea, and what I love about her is that she don't care, and she has amazing opinions, and she's just an amazing woman. She's one, but my dream interview
with your cousin.
No, screw him. He wouldn't come on anyway. You know, he listen, Victor. I told you a long time ago. I know you wanted to try and get him.
Chris, I got as far as his publicist. I may be able to get him.
Well, listen, if you could do it, let's do it, because I would love to go nose to nose with him. But the one person I want more than anybody, and Victor, you know who it is. It's Jackie Barrett. She's the one I would love to get on the show. I would love to look her in her eyes and pretty much tell her that she's a piece of crap. And there's nobody, because people are afraid to say anything to her. You know, she's a voodoo priestess and all that crap. She not a good person, and I would love the opportunity to really just really debate her on everything. I would love it. That would be my dream interview, and I'm going to try and get her. I don't think she'll come on because she's a coward. Even though she hides behind the whole, voodoo priestess thing, and, that she's the baddest woman on the planet and all that crap. I think she's a coward, and I know that there's not a chance that she would ever come on. But I would try.
Hey, Chris, it's very interesting. In our fan mail, we got a letter, and it said, I would really love a sample of a couple of Chris's hairs signed JB. Do you think that's her?
Oh, my God. Oh, my God. They didn't.
It may be.
We're not letting Chris out of this red room unless he's circled with salt, okay? Right? He doesn't go anywhere. He's ours now.
I'm going to start making a big voodoo doll.
Oh, boy. Wait a minute. Did you guys just say you're going to keep Chris in the red room? Oh, boy.
Here. I heard you say it earlier. You'll have to educate me. What is the red room? Or dare not I ask?
You might not want to know.
The red room The Red Room was a show that we did. I don't know, maybe 8 months ago, and it was an adult-only show. It was actually the same time. It was on Fridays from 10 to midnight, and we basically just had adult topics. We talked a lot. I mean, it was mostly about sex and fetishes and all that other stuff. But
the Red Room. The name The Red Room comes from 50 Shades of Grey.
Yeah, we were talking about orgasms and every other thing. But what happened? The truth is,
Again?
It got to the point, right, Victor, where I felt like people would judge us that we were talking about sex, and here I am. I'm supposed to be a respected psychic medium, and I'm talking about my brother being tied up and whipped by midgets. It just we had to stop it. And I loved it. Oh my God, ladies, you have no idea the stories we told on that show. My girlfriend.
I just remember that's probably about the time I saw you. I just remember hearing about it and making a comment on it with you and Victor one time somewhere on a social wall, and that was about it. I never got to your bedroom. I was never part of it, but I thought,
Yeah. I personally.
And my wife, who's the ex-editor-in-chief of Playgirl magazine, was a recurring guest.
Wow,
yep.
Love it.
Awesome.
Educated and in charge.
Listen, I got a great story. One night, it was Victor and his lovely wife, and it was myself and Chrissy, and we went out to this Thai food restaurant in downtown Brooklyn, and his wife gave us a lesson on the G-spot. And it wasn't just her talking, it was visual. She was taking things and making them into penises and showing us where the G-spot was, and people were like looking at us like, what the frig are these people talking about? I mean, she got me all hot and bothered. I started sweating. Next thing I know, listen, all I'm going to say is Chrissy was smiling that night.
It only took you 47 years to find it.
So not true. I don't think you knew it existed.
And I never had a problem with Chrissy before.
Listen, all I can say is welcome to the Power Portal Lounge.
Well, so just so you guys know, Chrissy, who's my girlfriend, as you all know, will also be a reoccurring host of the show as well. And she brings a different perspective because she's like really new to the whole paranormal and psychic world. I went to school with Chrissy, but we didn't know each other. And I actually met her because she needed my help. And this is before we started dating, obviously. I actually think I was still married at the time, maybe. And so was she. And she had a little spiritual problem going on in her house, and she'd heard about me and knew that we had gone to school together. And I went to her house and I did a little, I did my magic, and we just kind of hit it off. I don't even see each other for a bunch of years, like 3 years, because I was dating somebody, she was married, and then when I broke up, I saw her one night and I was like, oh damn, she looks really good, but I looked like shit. I was having a bad hair day, I was having a bad face day, I was just having a bad day. And I was with my brother, and I was like, Danny, we got to get out of here. I can't let this girl see me. So we left. And then she friended me that night on Facebook. So I was like, okay, that's cool. But I didn't think nothing about it because she was married. And, here I was just getting out of a horrible relationship with some poison, and I couldn't put myself in a position to try and date a married woman, which isn't what I do anyway. So I was having a Facebook instant message chat with her, and Spirit is telling me, and this is where I'm going to bring it into the spiritual part. Spirit starts telling me, my spirit guide, Edward Pace, tells me in his southern accent, he goes, you really should be talking to her, Chris. And I'm like, whoa. I said, she's married. Back up, Edward. And he's like, no, you need to be talking with this girl. I see something good there. So I'm thinking to myself, would my spirit guide actually put me in a position and set me up, for failure? So I had to think.
Possibly, but not in this case.
I had to think quick on my feet. Since I'm very quick, I said to myself, know what? I'm going to write to her. I'm going to say, yes, of course, yes, I'm single. And then I wrote, oops,
Good for you.
Wrong chat. I set her up, and she said, oh, my God, I thought you were still married. She goes, I'm divorced, too. And I went, cha-ching. And that week, we started dating, actually a week later. So that's how I actually got to, how Chrissy and I met each other is, spirit kind of put us together, which I think is a really great, really cool story.
When you're happy, it's good,
so,
and everything else falls into place. Right. So good for you and Chrissy, and I'm really looking forward to working with her. And, I see you guys, you're a lot like, you and yours are a lot like me and mine, and when you move, she moves, and I see that, and that's a good thing. And that's the way it's supposed to be when you're in a good relationship. You know when it's right, you know when it's wrong.
On a damn waterbed.
What's that?
I don't sleep on a waterbed.
I wish he had a waterbed, Jeremy.
But Victor, you have a great story of how you and your wife met, and a lot of our listeners really have never heard this story before. I mean, we've spoken about it on Second Sight, but I don't think we've ever spoken about it on Vision Quest. And River and Karen, listen to the story because I think it's pretty cool.
Well, okay. my first marriage had ended because of, believe it or not, spiritual differences. I was growing in a more expansive understanding of spirit and energy, and my ex-wife had actually become a born-again Christian, and she was absolutely adamant that what I was doing was going to send the family to hell. And obviously, knowing me, Chris, that is something I could never work out, and that's the way my first marriage ended. About a year later, I met a woman named Judy, a mutual friend of ours. I was facilitating meditation groups, and this guy who was a regular at the meditation group asked me if I would meet this woman named Judy who had breast cancer and was interested in learning visualization meditation and interested in energy healing and a lot of the things that I was doing. And I said, of course, and we met and we connected and we fell in love. And we had this amazing 3-year odyssey together. And during the course of this odyssey together, one of the things that was happening back then is if you did any type of energy healing and you wanted to go into a hospital to do laying on of hands, you had to either be a licensed massage therapist or ordained in a faith in which laying on of hands was a sacrament. And a lot of my friends who were healers were getting these instant ordinations for $50. They send a letter someplace in California and they get a certificate of ordination. And I never did anything the easy way. I think the easy way is the wrong expression. If I do something, I want to do it completely and fully or not at all. And I heard about this organization called the New Seminary of New York, which was an interfaith seminary founded in 1982. And I was called to it, and I was with at the time. She joined actually with me. And like I said, we had this amazing odyssey together. In November of 97, we had our ordination and graduation, and I was the president of the class. And I was giving a speech at the Cathedral of St. John the Divine in New York, which is an absolutely magnificent place, really beautiful place. And Lori Sue, who was coming into the school at that time, she had given up after 20 or 25 years in journalism, including relationships and women's sexuality and Playgirl magazine and other things, decided that she had a spiritual calling, and one day when she's on the show, she'll tell that part of the story. But she was coming into the seminary, and she attended my ordination, and we hadn't met. And she heard me speaking, and during the course of the graduation speech, I honored this woman, Judy. Talk about her courage, her commitment to living, her bravery, and just the way she lived her life fully and completely, even though the threat of death was always over her head. And Lori Sue heard me speaking, and she said, where do you find a guy who talks about a woman like that? Needless to say, 2 months later, Judy passed away. Judy passed in January of 1998. Who's laughing there?
I'm sorry. It's just so sweet to hear you talk
No,
about
that's
it.
okay.
The way you talk. It's just
no,
so
that's
sweet.
okay. That's
you know,
okay. So
I'm a woman. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
I'm emotional. I hear it and I feel it. I'm sorry.
I understand. Thank you. And then January of 1998, she passed away. And I went on to become a dean of the seminary, among other things. And Lori had come into the school at that time, and she, ordination, heard me speak and said, "Where do you find a guy like that?" And she was taken with what I was saying. And then she went to another ordination in January of '98, and she saw me and my friends at the school talking, and she listened in, and she heard me talking that Judy had passed and what had happened. And it took about 2 years, and we connected, and we fell in love, and we've been married now for 10 years as of last weekend, and together for 15 years. And we have a wonderful, wonderful relationship.
Isn't it beautiful the way it happens that way? It can be so synchronistic sometimes you don't even expect it, you know, and it just happens. And before you know it, it takes your breath away, and you're just there. And you can't deny it. You can try to chase it away. You can refuse the thing you want to do, but you can't. It's just there.
I am a firm believer in synchronicity, and that, you know, if you're familiar with the Celestine prophecy, even though that was a fictional work by James Redfield, what he talked about is if you open up, one of the insights was if you open up to the messages of spirit and energy, and you can look at it metaphysically or scientifically, it doesn't matter. It's the same thing. That these synchronicities will start happening, and people will come into your life who, if you're not aware of the energy, will not connect with you. But if you are aware, all of these things will start falling into place and beautifully falling into place. And I'll tell you one more quick story, and then I'll move on and let everybody else share what they'd like to share. Lori Sue had a husband who was her first husband was a taxi driver. Before she and I connected, she was almost going to date another taxi driver. My last name in German means cab driver.
Wow. Don't you love that? Yeah. Love it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank
you for sharing.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Victor, I am means cherry.
That's right.
I always said if I can't have it means cherry. Scarillo. That means a cherry in Italian. In one of the dialects, anyway. I mean, not in proper Italian, but in the dialects it means cherry. But I'm wondering, do you ladies have any stories you'd like to share with our audience?
Well, I can just briefly share how I met my husband.
Okay.
Let's hear. Let's hear.
I'll make it as brief as possible. But I had actually was drinking with a group of friends in an apartment that I was living in. I was a single mom at the time and divorced my first husband. And my sister happened to be over, and we were doing some shooters, apple pie shooters, by the way, that were pretty doggone good. But at one point, my sister decided that we should go see the psychic that was on the corner up the street. I had never been to a psychic before. It freaked me out. And everybody at the table said, yeah, let's go. And before I knew it, I was in the car with them, and we drove up to this gal's place. She had a neon hand that was blinking on and off at night, and I thought, oh, my God, what am I doing? But long story short, we went in there, and I can tell you that she could not read me at all. She was all over the board. But at one point, she sat up, she looked straight at me, and her voice changed, completely freaked me out. And all she said to me was, you need to change your attitude towards men because there's a man coming into your life soon. And if you don't change, this man will not even give you a second look, and you will not find love. You'll have many men in your life, but you will never experience true love in that relationship. And I caught my breath because I knew what he was talking about, because I did have a bad attitude about men at the time. And I asked her, well, when will I meet him? And she said, very soon. And I said, where? And she said, I don't know, but I know it's a crowded place and the room is very noisy. And I had been going to a lot of nightclubs, so I just made the assumption that that's where that it was going to happen. But in the meantime, within a week, I was sitting having tea with my sister, and the neighbor had walked in. She was the same age as I was, and she was asking me if I was dating. I said no, and she said, hey, I got this guy I know. I'll fit you up. And I said, no, I really don't want to, but she talked me into it, and we had made an agreement that she would bring him to the bowling alley because I bowled with my sister and her husband and a couple of their friends on a Wednesday night. And when he walked in, as soon as he walked in, it was like that whole message that she had shared with me, the psychic had shared, just came flashing back. And the room was crowded. There was a lot of people in there, and it was really noisy. And when he sat down, I was just asking him some questions, just regular questions, just to start up a conversation. Like, do you like to water ski? Do you fish? Do you go to clubs? I mean, I was getting these one answers, like yes or no and nothing else. And I thought, this guy doesn't like me. He's not into me at all. And at the end of the night, he asked me, he says, well, do you have a way home? I'll give you a ride home. And I thought to myself, yeah, I know what's coming after this. So I thought, what the hell, he doesn't like me. I'll play this game for a bit. So he drove me back to my apartment and walked me to the front door. And I had made a decision in my mind. I was not going to let him in the house. I just wasn't, there was no way he was coming in. And he walked me to the front door. He bent down and gave me a kiss on my forehead. And when he did that, it was like I was smitten. Everything had changed. He said, I'd love to take you out to dinner, just the two of us, without all the extra people and all the noise. And I melted, and I said, yes, I gave him my number. And, of course, the rest is history. We've been, married almost 33 years. But it was just amazing how it all happened. And, Vic, I can understand you just got to be open, because you never know what might happen. And I'll tell you, I would never go back to that psychic again. I think she was really full of shit. But I think one time in her life, she channeled my guide, somebody, to come through to at least let me know that I really needed to shape up or ship out, because I was down a wrong path. So that's my short story.
Well, that's really cool. I just want to add something to that, because this is something that I've spoken about many times. Just because a psychic doesn't hit on everything doesn't mean that they're not psychic. And I say that because I know a famous psychic that I've been on the Maury Povich show with, and we're not friends. That's why I'm not on the Maury Povich show anymore. Excuse me. But what used to bother me about him was, he would give people one, maybe two things that just blew them away. And then he would throw in the fluff, like a bunch of 6, 7, 8 different things that made, it was just bullshit. It was just, he was making it up. And it bothered me. But the fact that he was able to give them one or two really good things, to me, if you can change somebody's life by giving them one message, you've done your job as a psychic or a psychic medium. That's how I feel about it, okay? It's always nice to be able to give more, but if you can give that one message that just really makes them go, oh, my God, wow, you've done your job. I later found out that this psychic was giving information about the people, which pissed me off, but that's neither here nor there. The fact of the matter is, I'm a big believer that if you can give somebody something that really changes them and makes them think, wow, did he just really come up with that, or did she just really come up with that? That's huge. And I don't think you need to add the fluff. I don't think it's necessary. And actually, it's something that Victor and we did a show on psychic ethics. I think it's very unethical, and it bothers me. So I guess my question to you guys is, what do you guys think about what I just said? Do you think it's unethical to add fluff after you've given them something that's kind of profound? Well, how about you?
It's unnecessary. It's unnecessary.
I agree.
Is it what did you say,
Ruben,
please? What was the last part of that? Is it unethical to give them more thoughts after you've already what?
Yeah, after you've given them something that was really amazing, and then I guess maybe the psychic starts feeling a little full of themselves, and then just like adds the fluff, like, oh, you're going to do this, and just bullshit stuff that they just make it up at the top of the head. It's nothing psychic. It's not real.
Okay, I get it. Right. It is what it is, and I don't do fluff. I don't do the extras. If it's a complete message, it's a complete message. If it's incomplete, it's incomplete. If you need this, when you start needing to add things to a message, you're coming from a place of ego. It's not, if it's there, it's there. If it's not, it's not. And so I don't agree with a lot of the way things happen. I don't agree with the way I hear people read. I don't like it. That's just my personal
opinion. Definitely agree on that.
You know, I have a belief that everyone is psychic, and to what degree depends upon the person and how much they're willing to, devote to it, so to speak. And a lot of it is, we're here basically to clean our own souls up and to reach enlightenment in our own time. So if you've got that gift, it's there, and it's a little bit more open, say, than the average person, and you're willing to share that information, that's great. And I agree with River there when she talks about the ego gets in, and I think that's the piece that we need to remember and to clean up. And your previous guest earlier today was talking about being authentic, and I'm all for that. I mean, I really stress on cleaning your own act up, because that's what we're here for, is to do that. And if along the way you're there to help somebody, well, why not? I just really get upset over the psychics that are like on a fishing expedition, and they're just fishing for stuff to either boost their own ego or to catch you in a moment to tell you something you need to know. It's like, give me something that I need at that point. That's what I'm here for, is because it means there's
where did we go wrong, though? Sorry to interrupt you, but where did we go wrong? I mean, at what point do I have to have every answer? I don't. I can't. I can't contain it all.
River,
I can't contain it all.
And I'm not saying every answer. It's just more. It's more or less. Maybe I'm in a place where I need a little bit more direction. I've mentally, thrown the veil up thicker, and so now I'm losing my own clarity, and I just need some validation, because I already have the answers. I just might need somebody to help me to pull them out a little bit, make them a little bit clear, and then I can find my way, whatever my way is. But it's those that are trying to tell me. You go ahead. You need to do this
River, the point I want to make is that celebrity psychics, these people who become what we call celebrity psychics, they have to perform on demand. And as we all know, the people who generally do this work, you can't perform on demand. If something comes, it comes. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Just as River said.
Yeah.
So what they do is they start doing cold reading and hot reading to supplement the fact that they can't perform on demand. Because if they get up on a stage and they can't give a message to everybody they have a message for, and they start fabricating things. If they don't fabricate things, they're never going to be called. No one's going to pay to be in the audience with them ever again. And that's what it's about.
Well,
it's
nobody's
about
forgiving
selling something that doesn't exist.
You're right. That's right. And nobody's
That's
forgiving. Everybody wants that instant. Give me that instant gratification. As soon as they hear what you do, well, can you tell me? Maybe I haven't even sat with you.
I get that
give me
a
minute to breathe your energy for a second. Let me breathe you in and breathe out what I can. And there is no forgiveness. So it's
Absolutely.
a fine line. And put that in the public eye, and you put yourself on, what I mean.
Well, let me say something. This whole getting up in front of an audience thing and fishing, there's an easy way to combat that. When I do my gallery readings, when I've done them, what I do is I don't look out into the audience and say, oh, I'm feeling that there's something. I look out into the audience and I point. I say, you in the third row with the red dress, please come up. You in the fourth row, with the blue shirt and tie, would you please stand up? And I say, I have a message for you, and I have a message, and then I do my thing. I don't go fishing. I pin out people. I point to them. I say, you please stand up, and you please stand up. And another thing I'll do is I'll get 5 to 10 people, and I'll say, you please, everybody come up on stage, and I'll do a rapid reading for all of them. And that's a way, to me, that shows you that number one, you're the real deal. I think that blows people away. They love to see that. And you don't get all that, oh, I'm getting a D, and it's the father, uncle, brother. That's all bullshit. That's fishing, and it bothers me. And then that's why when I do my gallery readings, that's what I do, is I tell people, you stand up, and you stand up, and you stand up, and that takes all the fishing out of it. I have a message for you, and this is what it is. And that's just the way I've done it from the beginning.
Chris, that fishing expedition is called cold reading, where you're just throwing things out that could apply generically to just about anybody in the audience, and then you start reading their face as you say things to see if you have a positive response, you read their face, or a negative response, and you go on with it, as opposed to a hot reading, which unfortunately Sylvia Brown was busted for doing, where someone would go out someone would go out in the crowd, get information in advance, feed her that information, and then she'd read it back.
You know what the tragedy in all of this is? You know what the tragedy, though, in all of this is to get to the point. I've been offering my services for a long time. To get to the point where you're actually, let's say, a celebrity psychic, okay, and you're there, you had to have had a body of work behind you, or you wouldn't have been there in the first place. It doesn't happen that way. First of all,
Absolutely.
We picked the toughest road. We're on a spiritual path. That's a journey in itself. Your readings, again, judged from the beginning. So you get there and you get to this point, and the tragedy is at some point they had to be doing something right. So either like you say, they turn a path or they turn a corner or things change for them. I don't know.
Absolutely.
It's a tragedy to me. Because at the end of the day, it's what you're sharing or there's no point.
Absolutely.
Well, what I wanted to say is, I don't know which one of you said it, but it was one of you were talking about how everyone is psychic. Now, I don't know if everyone is psychic. That's something that we can definitely debate on. I don't agree with it. But most people,
I don't either.
Most psychics that I've interviewed, and then Victor and I and Jeremy and I have interviewed, all think that everybody is psychic. I'm not a huge believer of that. But like I said, we could discuss that another time. But I want to say, I do think that intuition can be taught. How to tune it up and how to really become one with your intuition. And Jeremy did something the other day, and he's taken a couple psychic development classes with me and whatnot, and just by being around me, we're talking and maybe coaching him a little bit. I made a comment on, we have this app called Boxer, and it's like a walkie-talkie app, and then we speak every day on it. And I made a comment, and he waited about, I would say, 20 minutes, and he walkie-talkied me back, and he says, "You must really think I'm stupid." He goes, "I know exactly what you're thinking." And you know what? He was 100% right. And I didn't give him any clues. I didn't lead him in any way. And he says, "This is exactly what you're doing." And you know what? He was right. And I think that through, psychic development and just being in tune with messages coming in, I think that, Jeremy, I was impressed with what you said the other day, just so you know. You just kind of picked up on something that I wasn't really putting out there. And for somebody who isn't, quote unquote psychic, to just come up with that was pretty impressive.
Jeremy, why don't you share with River and with Donna and our listeners what your impression was of psychics before you connected with Chris?
Well, I hated psychics. My mother is a stupid see you next Tuesday, and she went to a psychic that told her that she could put a spell on me to make me get along with her, but there's no spell strong enough. But my so-called mother, she took all of my gemstones. I had a bunch of gemstones. I had malachite and peridot and periwinkle and Smoky Mountain quartz, and just all kind of stuff, tiger's eye. And she took those to that psychic, and she went to my great-grandmother, and borrowed $2,000 because that's what that psychic told her to bring. So she told her to steal my shit and go steal my great-grandmother's stuff and bring it to her. So I told Chris when I first met him, I said, "I hate psychics, dude, but you seem pretty cool." And, I was straight up with him right off the bat. If there's only two psychics that I've ever known that I've actually trusted. The first one was a lady in Nashville. She just grabbed me by the arm, and we were working in the same place, and I talked to her a couple times before, and she just grabbed me by the arm and said, "Well, let me read you. I'm bored." And so, she nailed a lot of things. And then Chris, my grandparents burned up in a fire, and I called him up and I said, Chris, you know how I feel about psychics, but I just need to ask you, are my grandparents and my two little cousins where they're supposed to be? And he said, Jeremy, they weren't in the fire. I wasn't done talking. He said they weren't in the fire. The kids weren't in the fire. And I said, no, Chris. I said the whole house fell in on itself. And he said, no, the kids are still alive. And it was just, 5 or 6 hours later that the TBI told the family that the kids weren't in the house. So that, that convinced me right there that I could trust Chris. And from that point on, our friendship just got better. So, but as far as any other psychics, you can kiss my ass fine unless you can prove something. Sorry.
Well, Jeremy, you're very straightforward, and I think that's what our listeners love about you. And you know what? You've told that story a couple times now, and I love it. It's a great story. I hate the result, the end result, obviously, but it's a great story on how we became friends. So.
And guess what, Chris? Everybody got a taste of what the Paranormal Lounge is going to be like tonight.
Yeah, they sure did.
There you go.
Only difference is the Paranormal Lounge. All our listeners will actually be able to see us. So
that means we have to wear clothes, right?
Yes, I mean I'm butt-ass naked right now, but but Christy's not complaining. So, ladies, how about we'll go with River first? Is there anything you want to say? Because we only have 3 minutes left. Anything you want to say about what people can expect on the Paranormal Lounge?
Well, I think Victor was right. I think it's going to kind of be a little bit of well, first of all, we're going to have diverse opinion, obviously. We come from different backgrounds, so we're going to hit on a lot of different kind of views. And I think it's just going to be fun. It's a place to relax. I look at this lounge as a place where we can say what we need to say and kind of let it all out. And whatever's going to happen is going to happen. And who knows, Spirit moves in mysterious and fantastical ways, and I'm excited about it. I'm looking at it like it's an adventure. So I'm glad to be a part of it. I'm very excited to work with all of the ladies, and you, Chris, and Vic, if you can show up, and Jeremy, and whoever else comes on the show. I mean, I think that's how we all shift and evolve. We've got to talk to each other. And if we can't do that with at least an open mic, we'll never do it with an open heart or an open mind. So some way it's got to happen. And if that has to happen one soul at a time, then that's the way it's going to do, because that's my motto. So let's do it. I'm excited. Thank you for having me, and, let's do it.
We have 90 seconds left. Victor, why don't you give your thought for the week first before Donna says something?
Yes, our thought of the week comes from Marla Gibbs, and it's about paying attention, something that many people have forgotten how to do, resulting in some of the very serious issues we're facing today. Marla says, I truly believe that everything that we do and everyone that we meet is put in our path for a purpose. There are no accidents. We're all teachers if we're willing to pay attention to the lessons we learn, trust our positive instincts, and not be afraid to take risks or wait on some miracle to come knocking at our door.
Very nice, very nice. Well, listen, guys, we have 45 seconds. So, Don, I'm going to give you 30 seconds, and then Jeremy's going to tell us who our guest is next week.
Okay. Hey, I'm looking forward to all the tips, tools, and suggestions, Vic, that you can give me on the best way to handle Chris George, and I do look forward. It's an honor for me to be on the show, so thank you so very much. I look forward to having a good time.
You're welcome. It's going to be awesome. Jeremy, who do we have next week? We have about 15 seconds.
I believe it's going to be Hector Lugo, one of the guys that we missed on the weeks that everybody decided to get sick at the same time. So, founder of 10th Dimensional Paranormal.
And you've been listening to Vision Quest, Psychic Meeting Chris George, Moonshine Jeremy Adams, Victor the Voice Furman, all the ladies, all the girls. Have a good night, everybody. Take care. Good night.
Good night, everyone.
All right.
And Chris, I just told Donna she needs examination gloves to handle you.
Oh God. But ladies, you still with us?
Yep.
Yeah, actually I am. Yep. We're right here.
Yeah.
Well, listen, guys, I'm going to say good night. It's been a long week. I finally got my lovely Chrissy here with me, and I'm going to enjoy my time with her now. So you guys have a great night, and thank you for coming on. You guys are awesome.
Thank you so much. All right. Bye-bye.
Night, girl.
Good night, everybody. Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, Victor.
Hey,
Good night,
Jeremy, I'll talk to you tomorrow, and Vic, hopefully we can get together and talk.
Absolutely.
All right, guys, have a great night.
And Benny and Tiff, loved meeting you guys last week. That was great.
You too, Vic. It was great meeting you guys.
It was great.
Take care now.
Good night, everybody.
Night.
Good night.
Night.